What's going on, guys? It is FaZe Simp here, and today I'm bringing you another recap of last week's matches, which were against Florida and OpTic. Now, these two matches, were a little interesting in their own regard, which I'll explain in a little bit. But if you guys do like these videos, I'd appreciate if you dropped a like on the video. And yeah, let's just get right into it. All right, so our first match was on Friday, and it was against Florida. And this was kind of a big match just because of seeding for the major. And honestly, this was just a good match for practice going to the major, just because it's Florida, and a team like Florida always gets mixy in like certain situations, and it's just a good way to tell like certain things about your team. We went into a Gavutu map 1, which right now is probably one of our better maps, just because I feel like actually, I mean, all of our hard points are really good right now, to be honest. It just depends like who you're playing, I guess you could say. But we do a really good job of putting teams in some demon traps on like P3. Or yeah, P3 and not P3, but P4. We do a really good job trapping people, and P3 as well if they give us the chance. But P3 isn't as easy as P4 is. Starting off the Gav, I think we lost the break, and off the break in my head I was like, damn, all right, maybe maybe they are kind of nasty Gav, because we're a pretty nasty Gav team. I was like, okay, not usually used to losing the break, but I don't think we naded anyone, because usually in our breaks I feel like we had a nitty killer too, like most teams do. And if you don't, I feel like it's just like not helping your team. So I think one of the bigger takeaways from the map was probably the first P3 rotation, I'd say. I think the first P3, they kind of had spawns for the hill. And it was pretty close going up until the P3. And I feel like instead of them getting full 60, they only got 20. And we kind of like traded both time. And then going to the next P4, we put them into the demon trap and basically got like a full 30 or like 45 seconds to like 60 seconds. And if you can't really let that happen to you back-to-back kills, like you have to either get all P3 or like all P4, or you have to be getting like majority of the time, because if you're letting like the other team get most of the time, you're gonna end up winning first. So I'll say one thing: Florida was really making it mixy on like the P2s and the P1s. I feel like usually we do a really good job of getting a lot of P1 time on Gav, but they were doing a really good job of making mixy and honestly just fighting for the time. And the map didn't look close at the end. It was 250 to 165. I feel like the score didn't really tell much of the story, just because I feel like we had them in demon traps for both of the P4s, and then for the P3s we kind of insta broke them. So both those money hills, you can't really leg it away from you, because if you do, then teams are going to be outscoring you by like 40 or 30 points each hill. And I mean, that's kind of how we ended up winning. We ended up winning by 85 points. And I mean, Florida gets one or two of those hills, then it's probably a way closer game. So we ended up taking the first map, and now we are up 1-0 in the series, going to a Berlin S&D. The way the Berlin S&D went was honestly kind of how most Berlin S&Ds are going for us right now, I feel like. We were kind of trading rounds back to back. I feel like we started getting blooded a decent amount. I feel like both teams during this Berlin were doing a good job of winning the rounds they were getting bloods. And I mean, I feel like there were some rounds we were just giving away some picks too. Like, I feel like our search is so good right now, but there's like situations where like we don't get together, or like someone tries to make a hero play or something, and I feel like there's a lot of situations where we kind of give up lives and kind of just give away our numbers in certain scenarios where if we just got together and played trades, it would probably be the best case scenario for us, because I feel like a lot of the time we kind of just let other teams make plays on us, if that makes sense. There was one or two defenses where I think we moved a little bit too much, or like got a little antsy on the rotation to a bomb site, and they got good timing on us. And Florida was doing a really good job of getting bloods and winning the rounds in them, to be honest. Like, there were a lot of rounds where we were just in man down situations, and then the last round we got hard countered. So we lost the map 6-3. I mean, it wasn't really that close. We were honestly only winning the rounds at the beginning, and then I think they won 4 or 3 straight. And that's kind of how search goes. So the series is now 1-1, and now we're going into a Tuscan control. So going into this map 3 was Tuscan control, and honestly we were pretty confident in our control game, because right now I feel like it's really good, to be honest with you. I just feel like with the new ticks patch, and I feel like with the way we've been playing, it has been just really been helping us win a lot more rounds. But I mean, we came out the gate swinging. We insta cap day, we had a lot of time, and Florida honestly kept giving us a lot of picks to where we were able to win the first offense. And that puts a lot of pressure on Florida because now they have to win an offense. Even if like, I mean, even if they want to get to that round 5 where there's a really good chance they have to have another offense, you know, they have to win the first one to even get to there. So I feel like that was the biggest takeaway from the control, was just us winning the offense, because we ended up winning both defenses. Florida won their next defense too, and I mean, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. We won 3-1. We won Tuscan Control 3-1, which brought us to the 2-1 series count, and now we're going to a Bocage Hardpoint, which is statistically our best map in Hardpoint. So going to this map 4, our vibes are already as high as they could be, because, you know, Bocage is always a good story for us. I think we're like 7-0 or 8-0 or like 9-0, something with a no at the end of it on the map. And I feel like there's not a lot of teams that really rival us on it right now, to a point where it's like, I feel like teams are actually playing better than us on it. But I think Florida played this map because it's their best map, in my opinion. And I feel like they were kind of just taking a shot at the dark because, you know, why not? So right out of the gate, we got like 20 or 30 seconds off the first P1. And that sets a lot of the tone for the map, because it puts a lot of pressure on Florida to kind of just, you know, keep getting time. I feel like if you're like, Florida's a team on Bocage that gets a lot of kills. Like, I mean, they're getting better at it. They got a lot better at it recently. But, you know, they used to be a team to where they got a lot of kills and not a lot of time. To where, you know, you see a team like us where like you get 2 or 3 kills and, you know, someone gets 10 seconds P1 or something like that. I feel like we do a really good job on Bocage of just flooding in and out of hills. And I mean, Bocage is a small enough map to where it can feel really mixy times. And, you know, if you feel that during the map, you're not really going to hop in time a lot of the times, because you feel like there's going to be someone right around the corner trying to like jump you out of it. You know, we ended up winning up the last P1. We got like a full like 50 or 40 points off the last P1, and we ended up winning 250 to 199. This was a lot more the scoreline was a lot more mixy than I honestly thought it was going to be. I thought we were going to have a more dominant win on Bocage, but I think it just goes to show that, you know, Florida is a good Bocage team, and, you know, maybe, you know, they have a good reason for trying to big dick us on this map. So we ended up taking that series 3-1, and that was really, really important for our seeding, just because if we lost that, like, it would have been like a little bit scary towards like the 8th seed, especially with how the OpTic match went. We would have had a losing record, and that would have been terrible. So without further ado, we were not 4-1. Right now we're 3-2, 3-1 going into the OpTic match. So going to this OpTic match, I was super excited to just, you know, get my hands on some good practice, get my hands on OpTic for the major, see where we were, see where they were, you know, and I'm sure everyone's excited for us to play play against each other. But, you know, Sunday morning, I ended up waking up like 8:30 a.m. just yakking everywhere, bro. Like, I couldn't stop. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't drink anything. I mean, I was in the absolute blender Sunday, and I started to feel a little bit better throughout the day, but I was still having a lot of like nausea, and I kept like just throwing up. You know, I got to a point where I was chilling for a little bit. I went to the facility before our match, and, you know, we were all warming up. I was chilling, and I wasn't really talking, so I feel like that's probably why what happened. But when I started talking, like, we went into our warm-up map against LAT, and as soon as I started calling out, I just started feeling extremely sick again. And literally like 3 hills into the game, I turned to my side and just threw up into the like trash can on my left, because I just couldn't help it anymore. And I mean, I was trying to fight through it to try and play for my team, because I know how like big of a match this kind of was, and I know how much people were excited to like watch this and everything. So I was really trying my best to like play. But I mean, they made the decision of like saying, listen, man, you just can't play, because like you can't even get through one more map, so how are you gonna get through a series? And I mean, it made sense, but I was just, you know, that shit was so chalked, because I was just so excited to play that day. And for that to happen, especially that like time against that team, was just really, really crappy. You know, going into it still wasn't chalked. I feel like my boy still put up a fight going into it. You know, Preston filled in, and for the maps we played, I think Preston did a really good job of just filling in a role on such short notice against a team of this caliber. But going into map 1, it was Gavutsu Hardpoint, and this was a really strong pick for us, I think, because even with Preston, we had a really strong showing. I just think there was 1 or 2 plays on the Gav that if they went away, would have made the map a lot more winnable. And then I think OpTic really started to heat up towards the end of it. So right out of the gates on the Give It to Hard point, Preston came out just frying. I think Preston started off like 6-1, and we were making all the hills scrappy against OpTic. Like the first rotation of the hills, we were literally like getting most of the time. I don't know if OpTic was just, I mean, not trolling, like, you know, obviously they're going hard. I'm not saying they weren't like trying, but I don't know if it's because like they saw Preston on their team and they were like saying like, oh, this is about to be an easy dub, like mentally or what. But I think they were a little shook of how the boys in Preston started out the Gav hardpoint, because until the second P1 where I think Preston went top boat instead of rotating to P1, I think at like right around there is like when OpTic really started to catch fire and really started to take the game away, because that P1, they won the P1 rotation. I think they got literally like most of the time. The P2 they made scrappy, and then they did like OpTic does a really good job of getting money like P3 time. We lost that map, and then that brought us to a Tuscan S&D, to which honestly, like this Tuscan S&D honestly got pretty interesting. But yeah, let's just talk about it. So Tuscan has changed on both S&D and control, and this happened to where defense spawns, instead of spawning behind the tank, are now spawning like in front of the tank. And I think this makes the map a little bit more defensive sided, which in my opinion is a good thing, because I think maps, you know, should be defense sided over offense sided, especially in objective modes. And it just makes getting mid map and like a bomb a lot easier. So I think the map plays decently better in my opinion. I think it's still fairly new to say whether or not it's better or not, but in my head it looked a little bit better, at least to how the map plays. So this map was honestly just two Tuscan teams, like good Tuscan teams going back and forth. I think Preston did a good job of filling into where I had to go, and like I think he did a good job of running around with Tyler and Alec and kind of just doing whatever they needed him to do. I think he was a really good team player, really good teammate this series. And yeah, this S&D was just a battle of the good S&D teams. Oh, you know, both teams are winning rounds. The biggest thing was I think Shotzi went on like a 7 or 8 spree to where he got a glide bomb. And on a map like Tuscan, a glide bomb is going to be huge, because A bomb is just so wide open to where it's honestly always going to get you a blood for the most part. So, but OpTic ended up taking a 5-3 lead, and I think this is where like the map really showed to where like things you could really do, because on defense, I think we were getting really aggressive on both sides, and we ended up just getting a blood or two and using our numbers to win the rounds. We ended up bringing it back to 5-5. Tyler also 1v2'd one round. It's honestly it looked like a crazy clutch in my opinion. Not like crazy, but like one crazy, you know what I mean? And I think he ended up winning 1v2 to make it go 4-5. And honestly, the 5-5 was looking really good. They had a good call. You know, my boys went A. I think Preston threw too wide of a shoulder when he was on their slab. I think he was just trying to get info, which is honestly a good play. And then he just got zapped and died. And as soon as he died their side, it was kind of tough on the rest of the people A side to get control of anything, because now they can realistically go mid and their side A. And OpTic just, you know, used their numbers to push us out, and they won the 5-5. But going down 0-2, going into the Gav control was honestly worst case scenario in this situation. So I think before this, OpTic were like 12-0 or like 11-0 in control. I think they just tied the record for most control wins in a row, which is honestly crazy. And they really set the tone first round, because I think we ended up losing the first defense, and OpTic just do a really good job of getting the kills, getting on B. And if we miss our nades, or if we don't do a good job of instantly kill, like, you know, getting them off fast, then it kind of just it spirals into something crazy to where before we just lose the round. So we ended up losing the next offense. OpTic put us in a pretty decent demon trap for the second round. And I mean, that is what it is. You know, some rounds you kind of get slammed. That kind of just solidified that we were going to have a round 5 offense if we brought it there. And, you know, next defense, I think we do a fairly decent job of just playing defense. You know, 8 point's always kind of free to go on both maps, so it's kind of hard to talk about it. I feel like both teams, most teams do a good job of capping the 8 point, unless they get put into demon traps. And demon traps only really happen on Gavutu, where teams do a bad job of getting map control. We ended up losing 3-1. We ended up losing the series 3-0. And, you know, like I said, this was probably worst case scenario. This was, I don't know. I mean, I'll take the blame for this series. I can't believe I got sick like this day. I feel like I'd never get sick, and for it to happen on this match was just honestly so unfortunate. But then again, I am, you know, I'm glad it's not happening during the major because the major's way important. So with that being said, with us losing this match 3-0 and not winning a map, that gave us 5th seed because New York had a better map win percentage against us. But either way, we were going to be in the same like side of the bracket, so I wasn't too worried. This puts us in, you know, we're still in winners round 1 for 5th seed against New York, and this puts us in another spot to play OpTic winners round 2, which honestly would be pretty lit. I feel like playing them at any point in a tournament is always fun and good for viewership. So hopefully, you know, both of us play our best COD and we get to each other. But with that being said, guys, that's going to be it for the video. If you did enjoy, make sure you drop a like on it. If you're new here, make sure you sub to the channel. And as always, leave in the comments below what I can do better or some video ideas. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Peace.